What's up, everybody? Thanks as always for supporting the show. It would mean a lot to me if you would take a second to scroll down and hit that subscribe button to the Hoops Tonight YouTube channel, and then follow me on social media on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter so you guys don't miss any of our content over the course of this season. All right, let's talk some basketball. All right, moving on to our power rankings. So we had two teams drop out from last week, the Pacers and the Mavs, who both had pretty disastrous weeks. We have two new teams in the list this week, starting with number 10, the Orlando Magic. They've won 6 of their last 7 games, playing some elite defense in that stretch. They're 5-0 in that 7-game span when Paolo Banchero plays. He's averaging 24 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists on 52% from the field and 42% from three. Albeit a little bit of an easier stretch of their schedule, but a nice little run from the Magic. Number 9, the Miami Heat. They are 10-3 in their last 13 games. That is the second best record in the league in that span, just behind Boston. They have the second best defense in the league over that span. And then Jimmy Butler is starting to look like playoff Jimmy again. Since he came back from his injury on January 15th, he's averaging 23 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists on, check this, 57% from the field and 56% from three. So Jimmy Butler peaking at the right time, and the Heat starting to gain some steam. Number 8, the Cleveland Cavaliers are starting to slip a little bit. They're just 4-5 in their last 9 games. They needed a wild, all-time great hot streak from Max Strus, hitting 5 consecutive threes down the stretch against Dallas to win one of those games. Otherwise, they'd be 3-6. It's their defense that's been slipping, ironically, over that span. They're 18th in the NBA in defensive rating in their last 9 games. Number 7, the New York Knicks. After Jalen Brunson went down in pain coming off of that wide pin down action against the Cavs, it was like a low point for the season for Knicks fans, right? Like you, obviously Jalen Brunson goes down in the game. You're already down your entire front court. It's a big game, an important game against the Cavs that you feel like is winnable. It looks terrible, right? But then you end up beating the Cavs anyway, just bully them on the glass, just like they did in the postseason. And Dante DiVincenzo had a big scoring night. Also, Bojan Bogdanovic, a guy who can scale up his offense when needed, stepped in and I think he poured in 40 or 20 points, if I remember correctly. And then after the game, you get great news. Jalen Brunson, just a knee contusion. So it sounds like he just bumped knees, didn't twist his knee. That's great news. That means Brunson should be coming back. And again, OG Anunoby, I believe, just ramped up his basketball-related activities. So help is on the way. We should get a better feel for the Knicks here in the next couple of weeks. Number 6, the Minnesota Timberwolves, 2 more clutch losses to the Kings and the Clippers this week. As we mentioned earlier in our Wolves breakdown, a 105 offensive rating in the clutch this season, which ranks 21st in the NBA. That's going to be the biggest question for them when we get to the postseason. Will they ever be able to diligently seek out the best possible shot in the slow down half-court environment at the end of games? Number 5, the LA Clippers, 2 in 1 week. They did lose to the Lakers in that crazy LeBron James comeback. But again, like I said, after that game, sometimes LeBron just does LeBron stuff and you lose. But they did take a big step forward against Minnesota on the defensive end of the floor. Their defense has been what slipped a lot during this kind of mediocre stretch here in the last 2-3 weeks. That's that game against Minnesota. They got down into the mud and they slowed Minnesota down and they won with their defense, which I thought was super encouraging. Get in on the action with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. New customers who deposit $5 or more can get a no-sweat bet up to $1,000 back in a bonus bet. I was looking at NBA futures this morning. The Golden State Warriors are plus 5,500 right now on DraftKings to win the title. So if you believe in them, that's a big number. And Denver, I have Denver as my championship favorite, and they're still the second best odds on DraftKings right now at plus 450. So lots of good NBA bets to look at over the course of the end of the season. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code HOOPS. New customers can get a no-sweat bet up to $1,000 if your first bet loses. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code HOOPS. That's HOOPS. The crown is yours. Number 4, the Oklahoma City Thunder. It took a bad loss to the Spurs where they really struggled with Victor Wembanyama, but they did bounce back with a really impressive win against the Suns last night. You know, I'm having a hard time with this team because like the stuff with their size and physicality and their lack of experience, or their size, I should say, not their physicality. They're a very physical team. The stuff with their size and their experience is just overarching basketball philosophies that I have and I truly believe in. And it still gives me a ton of reticence. But when I look at their combination of shot creation down the roster, the incredible physical brand of basketball that they play, the competition and the nastiness of this group, I think they're wired right. Like, I love their basketball character. I think they're super well coached. I'm having a really hard time with the Thunder because I've got this like voice in the back of my head, which is like, take them more seriously, take them more seriously, take them more seriously. So we'll see. I reserve the right to change my mind about the Thunder when we get to the beginning of the postseason. But right now, I just still lean back on my overarching basketball beliefs involving their lack of size and experience. Number 3, the Milwaukee Bucks, a 3-0 week, albeit against an easy stretch of their schedule. 15 games of Doc Rivers. 109.6 defensive rating, which ranks 5th in the NBA over that span. Offense is still struggling a little bit, although it's been way better as of late. But they're at a 115 offensive rating since Doc took over. They can get that offensive rating back up to 120 while maintaining this level of defense. We have to move Milwaukee into back into that top tier of contenders, because everything we had talked about with them was based around their defense having severe limitations, and they've just been defending really well now for a stretch of the season, which really amounts to like about a fifth of the season. That's not a non-existent sample size, but a lot of tests on the horizon. Milwaukee's next 5 games against the Clippers at home, but then a road trip against the Warriors, the Lakers, the Clippers, and the Kings. That's a tough stretch. A lot of really high-powered offenses in that span. We're going to find out. And guard play, too. Clippers, obviously, with James Harden. The Warriors with Steph Curry. The Lakers with D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves. And then even going into Malik Monk and De'Aaron Fox. Like, although De'Aaron Fox missed their last game, and Malik Monk actually carried them to a win against the Wolves. But that stretch is going to put a big strain on their perimeter defense. We're going to learn a lot about the Bucks defense during that stretch. Number 2, the Denver Nuggets, 6-0 now out of the All-Star break. This time last year, this was where they let their foot off the gas. They were 5-1 out of the break, and then they promptly lost 5 of their next 6 games. So I'm really curious to see if they can keep their foot on the gas at this point and maintain. Big matchup with Boston this week that we'll be going live for. I think it's on Thursday night, so we'll be live on YouTube after the final buzzer of that game. But Denver, they look like the best version of themselves that they've ever been as of late, and I'm really, really intrigued. Because we talk about the checking boxes for championship contention. And like one of the big ones is like ramping up as you get into the postseason. It was one that Denver missed last year, and then they still dominated. It just makes me all the more confident in what Denver's capable of. I still think they're the best team in the league. Number 1 in our power rankings for regular season results, the Boston Celtics. Another undefeated week. They're on an 11-game winning streak now. And one of the big things, as I've been harping on all season, needed them to be more aggressive in the paint. They are averaging 60 points in the paint per game in their last 4 games, which is the 3rd most in the NBA over that span.